I think that if you're Ty Cobb and John Dowd, what you want to do is, one, if you can, avoid having the president testify under oath. But if he has to testify under oath, because Mueller can compel him to do so, have it be at the 11th hour. So you've heard everybody else's story, and you can compose a linear narrative that's truthful.
Can we just play the Al Franken exchange with Jeff Sessions again, just so we can put a finer point on this? Let's play it right now.
You don't believe that surrogates from the Trump campaign had communications with the Russians. Is that what you're saying?
I did not, and I'm not aware of anyone else that did. And I don't believe it happened. But
and you don't believe it now?
I don't believe it happened.
This was October 18th. This was 2 weeks ago, David Gregory. We now know Carter Page told the House Intel Commission yesterday that he told Jeff Sessions that he was meeting with the Russians. We have the picture of George Papadopoulos sitting next to Jeff Sessions, telling that meeting, telling that group, I guess 3 people down from Jeff Sessions, telling that meeting that he's been, talking to the Russians right now. This is a real problem.
It is a problem, and Jeff Sessions' former colleagues in the Senate are very unhappy with him, want to get him back in front of that committee and try to reconcile with the facts that we now know, and really push him on why he is forgetting or whether he's deliberately not telling the truth. I think there's 2 ways to look at this. For these meetings that happened, there's the likes of Carter Page, there's the likes of George Papadopoulos, and maybe they just didn't register on the radar screen to be memorable. Or what we're getting at is the very beginning of an understanding of how deep these Russian ties actually go. Whether Papadopoulos, who may have been wearing a wire, who may have had conversations with others, maybe General Flynn is something we learn more about in terms of what his knowledge was, what his interactions were, the level of coordination with the Russians. We may just be at the beginning of it, or maybe it stayed at a really low level. I mean, I think that's where we're constrained a little bit in making too much interpretation about this, making too much judgment about it.
But what we know is that everyone in the campaign, including the president, seems to have, knowing that Russia was interfering in the election at the point when they're asked these questions, kept saying, no, there was no contact. There was no contact of any kind. And then we keep finding out new meetings. We keep finding out that at best, Jeff Sessions' memory seems to be seriously flawed. At worst, it's been a willful effort to obscure the constant outreach by Russians to a presidential campaign, which, by the way, is not usually on the menu of normal in presidential campaigns. There are not multiple Russian entities trying to, influence policy and make personal contacts. So at some point, it starts looking like what it is, and I think that's what making a lot of folks around the president nervous today. And that's why the Mueller inquiry is going from the campaign to the White House. However inevitable that might be with the questions of obstruction of justice and Comey, that's why they should be paying more attention today.
And I think that's the important point. Yeah. And I think that if it stops where it is, that may be one thing. But it seems to me what Mueller is building is that, the conversations may have started low, but he's going to go high. Because clearly these conversations didn't just end there. If you believe that there was some coordination or some collusion that would have gone higher.
Michelle Obama's speech.
I was about to say
you right now.
You like that? You like
and Melania Trump.
Plagiarism. But the President Trump, says that he's quite frustrated about some elements of this. Here's the part that he's most frustrated by.
The saddest thing is that because I'm the President of the United States, I am not supposed to be involved with the Justice Department. I'm not supposed to be involved with the FBI. I'm not supposed to be doing the kind of things that I would love to be doing. And I'm very frustrated by it.
Is that the saddest thing, Michael Zeldin?
Well, I think that he doesn't quite understand the role that he has to play here. He can be involved in the Justice Department and the FBI at a policy level. He can set national law enforcement policy, and nothing will interfere with that. What he can't do is interfere with ongoing criminal investigations, and especially those that impact him. And his family. So there's a bit of a disconnect. He can do what he wants to do as long as it's policy related. He can't do what he can't do because it's a criminal investigation.
Why is he so frustrated? He fired the FBI director because he didn't like how the Russia investigation was going. So why is he so frustrated? He has interfered with what the FBI is doing.
He'd like to do so much more.
Hey, John,
that doesn't work out so well for him.
Let me ask you this. Jared Kushner, how do you think he slept last night, John?
I'm not sure I'm qualified to speak on the sleep number of Jared Kushner, but I will say that if he's been handing over documents and the Manafort part of what Mueller's been doing is focused on finances, I think there are a lot of things for Jared that should keep Jared Kushner up at night, from investigations into financing of real estate entities, of which his family has done, to questions about the advice he gave in the White House, particularly around the Comey firing.
May I just add one thing? I don't disagree with that. I think especially we learned from the Manafort investigation and indictment that the financial dealings of these guys, Trump, Cohen, Kushner, they're all on Mueller's table. They're not. There is no New York Times red line that personal financial dealings is off the table. I don't know that there's much to be said about Kushner and his role in the firing of Comey. I think that if Kushner is not sleeping soundly, it's financial and it's the data analytics relationship to the Facebook social media thing, because those things parallel one another. They could be completely coincidental, or there could be a connection.